Sinful Temptation. Episode 5, The First Date. The next day 6 p.m. Isabella stood in front of her closet at Sophia's apartment, staring at her limited wardrobe options with growing panic. What do you wear on a first date with a man you've already kissed, already confessed your love to, and who's already had his hands all over your body? She asked aloud. Sophia, lounging on Isabella's bed with a glass of wine, laughed. Girl, I think you're past the first date stage. You're in the when is he finally going to finish what he started stage. Isabella threw a pillow at her. Not helping. Okay. Sophia sat up, serious now. What vibe are you going for? Elegant and classy. Or, please take me home and ravage me. Can it be both? Absolutely. Sophia jumped up and dove into the closet. Here, this one. She pulled out a deep emerald dress Isabella had bought on sale months ago but never worn. It was elegant but devastating, fitted bodice, flowing skirt, thin straps that showed off her shoulders and collarbone. The color made her green eyes pop and contrasted beautifully with her dark hair. It's perfect, Isabella breathed. It's lethal, Sophia corrected with a grin. That man won't know what hit him. 7 p.m., exactly. The doorbell rang precisely at 7. Isabella took one last look in the mirror, hair in loose waves, makeup subtle but perfect, the emerald dress hugging every curve, and took a deep breath. She opened the door. Dante stood there in dark slacks and a charcoal button-down that looked custom-made for his body. His hair was styled but still slightly messy, his stubble perfectly trimmed. He held a bouquet of white roses. When he saw her, he went completely still. Wow, he said simply, his eyes traveling slowly over her. Isabella, you're, wow. She smiled, pleased by his reaction. You clean up pretty well yourself. These are for you. He handed her the roses, and their fingers brushed. Even that small touch sent electricity through her body. White roses. For new beginnings. Her heart melted a little. They're beautiful. Let me just put them in water. Already done. Sophia appeared behind Isabella with a vase, snatching the roses. You two get out of here. Have fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. She paused. Actually, do everything I wouldn't do. Sophia. Isabella's cheeks flushed. But Dante just laughed, a real, genuine laugh that transformed his whole face. I like your friend. She's a menace, Isabella said, grabbing her purse. Dante offered his arm. Shall we? The car ride. Dante had driven himself in a sleek black sports car that probably cost more than most people's houses. He opened her door, waited until she was settled, then closed it gently before walking around to the driver's side. As he pulled into traffic, Isabella noticed his hand was tense on the steering wheel. Are you nervous? She asked. Terrified, he admitted. I've been on hundreds of dates. But this is the first one that actually matters. No pressure then, she teased. He glanced at her with a small smile. Where we're going, I think you'll understand why this matters so much to me. They drove through the city, past the expensive restaurants Isabella had expected him to choose. Instead, they headed toward the outskirts, climbing into the hills overlooking the city. Finally, Dante pulled up to a modern house with floor-to-ceiling windows. The view was spectacular, the entire city spread out below them like a carpet of lights. Is this? Isabella started. My house, Dante confirmed. My real house. Not the family mansion. This is where I actually live. She understood the significance immediately. He was letting her into his private space, his sanctuary. He led her inside, and Isabella caught her breath. The house was stunning but surprisingly warm, not the cold bachelor pad she'd expected. There was art on the walls, books everywhere, comfortable furniture that looked actually lived in. I thought about taking you to the fanciest restaurant in the city, Dante said, leading her through to the kitchen. But then I realized that's what the old me would have done. Trying to impress with money instead of. He gestured around. This is me. The real me. And I wanted you to see it. The kitchen opened onto a huge deck with an outdoor dining area. A table was set for two, covered with candles that hadn't been lit yet. Soft music played from hidden speakers. You did all this. Isabella asked. With some help from a catering company, he admitted. I'm good at many things, but cooking isn't one of them. I didn't want to give you food poisoning on our first date. She laughed, and some of the nervous tension between them eased. Dante pulled out her chair, then lit the candles before sitting across from her. Within minutes, staff appeared with the first course, but then disappeared quickly, giving them privacy. So, Dante said, pouring wine. Tell me something I don't know about you. That's a broad question. Start anywhere. We skipped all the normal, getting to know you, parts and went straight to. He gestured vaguely. Everything else. I want to do this properly. I want to know you, Isabella. Not just want you. So she told him. About her childhood, growing up with a single mother who worked 2 jobs. About her dreams of traveling the world. About her fear that she'd never be good enough, smart enough, successful enough. And Dante listened. Really listened. He asked questions, remembered details, made her feel like every word mattered. Then she turned it around. Your turn. Tell me about you. Dante was quiet for a moment, swirling his wine. What do you want to know? Everything. But start with, why don't you believe in love? His jaw tightened. That's going straight for the deep end. We're past shallow, Dante. We have been since the wedding. He sighed, setting down his glass. My father was not a good man. He was cruel, violent, controlling. My mother stayed because she loved him, and he used that love as a weapon. I watched him destroy her slowly, piece by piece, all in the name of love. Isabella reached across the table, taking his hand. When she finally got sick, cancer, he barely visited her in the hospital, Dante continued, his voice rough. She died loving a man who never deserved her. And I swore I'd never let myself be that vulnerable. Never let someone have that much power over me. Is that why you push people away? He corrected. Past tense. Because you, Isabella, you've destroyed every defense I ever built. You made me vulnerable whether I wanted to be or not. And instead of it being terrifying, it's the most alive I've ever felt. The main course arrived, but neither of them paid much attention to the food. They were too focused on each other, on the conversation flowing between them. Isabella told him about her failed relationships, about always being too much, or not enough. Dante told her about the women he'd dated and discarded, about the reputation he'd built and the walls he'd maintained. Why me? Isabella finally asked. What made me different? Dante was quiet for a long moment, studying her face in the candlelight. Because you saw through me. At the wedding, when I tried to scare you off, you didn't run. You looked me in the eye and called me on my nonsense. No one's ever done that before. So you fell for me because I annoyed you. I fell for you because you refused to let me hide. You demanded honesty when everyone else was content with my carefully constructed persona. He stood, walking around the table to pull her to her feet. Dance with me. There's no dance floor. There's music and there's you. That's all I need. He pulled her close, one hand at her waist, the other holding hers. They swayed to the music, the city lights twinkling below them like stars. This is nice, Isabella murmured, resting her head against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, strong and steady. Nice. Dante's voice held amusement. I'm pouring my heart out, giving you the romantic date of a lifetime, and you say it's nice. She looked up at him with a smile. Okay, it's perfect. Better. Much. He kissed her forehead softly. Thank you. For what? For giving me another chance. For not running when I gave you every reason to. For loving someone as broken as me. You're not broken, Isabella said firmly. You're just still healing. And that's okay. He cupped her face, his thumb stroking her cheek. How did I get so lucky? You groveled really well in that parking garage. Dante laughed, and the sound filled her with warmth. Is that all it took? I should have groveled weeks ago. They swayed together in comfortable silence for a while. Then Dante's hand slid lower on her back, pulling her closer. Isabella felt his body responding to her proximity, and heat flooded through her. Isabella, he said, his voice rough. If we keep dancing like this, I'm going to forget all my good intentions about taking things slow. What if I don't want you to take things slow? He pulled back slightly to look at her. You sure? We can wait. I don't want you to think this was all just to Dante. She placed her hand on his chest, feeling his rapid heartbeat. I'm sure. I've been sure since the kitchen. Hell, I've been sure since the wedding. I want you. All of you. Tonight. His eyes darkened with desire. Once we cross this line, there's no going back. I meant what I said in the parking garage. I'm going to worship every inch of your body. I'm going to make you mine in every way possible. And tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up in my bed, and we're going to do it all over again. Promise, she whispered. That's a guarantee. Then his mouth was on hers, and the careful restraint they'd maintained all evening shattered completely. This kiss was different from the parking garage. This wasn't desperate and frantic. This was deliberate, purposeful, a promise of what was to come. Dante kissed her slowly, thoroughly, like he had all the time in the world to explore her mouth. His hands roamed her back, her waist, memorizing every curve through the thin fabric of her dress. Bedroom, Isabella gasped against his mouth. Now, so impatient, he teased, but he was already leading her inside, through the house to a master suite that was all dark colors and masculine elegance. The massive bed dominated the room, and Isabella's pulse kicked up another notch imagining what was about to happen there. Dante closed the door and turned to her, his eyes burning with hunger. Last chance to change your mind. Stop giving me outs and start giving me what you promised. He grinned, predatory and possessive. Yes, ma'am. He walked toward her slowly, backing her toward the bed. When her legs hit the mattress, she sat, and he knelt in front of her, taking off her heels one at a time with surprising gentleness. These shoes should be illegal, he murmured, kissing her ankle. Do you know what they do to your legs? Tell me, Isabella breathed. They make me want to see these legs wrapped around my waist. He kissed higher, along her calf. Or over my shoulders. Higher still, to her knee. Or spread wide while I. Dante, she gasped. Patience, princess. I'm going to take my time with you. His hands slid up her thighs, pushing her dress higher. Isabella's breathing quickened as his fingers traced patterns on her inner thighs, getting closer and closer to where she ached for him. You're so beautiful, he murmured, looking up at her. I've dreamed about this moment for weeks. Then his mouth was on her inner thigh, kissing, sucking, marking her. Isabella moaned, her hands fisting in his hair as pleasure sparked through her. I need you, she whimpered. Please. Not yet. His breath was hot against her skin. First, I'm going to make you come with just my mouth. Then my fingers. Then, when you're begging me for more, I'll finally give you what we both need. True to his word, Dante worshipped her body with single-minded focus. His mouth found her center, and Isabella cried out at the first touch of his tongue. He was skilled, deliberate, knowing exactly where to lick, where to suck, where to apply pressure. When he added his fingers, curling them inside her, Isabella shattered. Her release crashed through her in waves, her body convulsing as he worked her through every pulse of pleasure. Before she could catch her breath, Dante was standing, pulling her to her feet. His hands found the zipper of her dress and slowly drew it down. The emerald fabric pooled at her feet, leaving her in just her lace undergarments. Perfect, he breathed, his hands skimming over her newly exposed skin. You're absolutely perfect. Isabella reached for his shirt, unbuttoning it with trembling fingers. She pushed it off his shoulders, revealing the muscled chest she'd fantasized about. Her hands explored his body, the hard planes of his abs, the V of muscle disappearing into his pants, the strength in his shoulders. Your turn, she said, reaching for his belt. Dante let her undress him, watching her face as she revealed more of his body. When he was finally bare before her, Isabella couldn't help but stare. He was magnificent, all lean muscle and masculine power. See something you like? He teased. Everything, she admitted. He removed her remaining clothing with practiced ease, then lifted her onto the bed, following her down. The feel of his skin against hers was intoxicating. I want to take my time, Dante said, kissing down her neck. But I also want to be inside you so badly I can barely think straight. Then stop thinking, Isabella gasped as his mouth found her breast, his tongue swirling around the sensitive peak. And start doing. He reached into his nightstand for protection, and Isabella watched as he prepared himself. Then he was above her, positioning himself at her entrance. Look at me, he commanded softly. Isabella met his eyes, seeing the love and desire burning there. I love you, he said, and pushed inside her in one smooth thrust. They both groaned at the sensation. Isabella had thought their first time in his bed weeks ago had been intense, but this was something else entirely. This was making love, not just having it. Dante set a slow, deep rhythm that drove her wild. He kissed her as he moved, swallowing her moans. His hands explored her body, learning what made her gasp, what made her arch into him. You feel incredible, he growled against her neck. So tight. So perfect. Made for me. Harder, Isabella begged, her nails raking down his back. Please, Dante. He complied, increasing his pace. The sound of skin meeting skin filled the room, mixed with their labored breathing and moans of pleasure. Isabella felt another release building, more intense than the first. Dante seemed to sense it, adjusting his angle to hit that perfect spot inside her with every thrust. That's it, baby, he encouraged. Let go. I've got you. She came with a scream, her body clenching around him. The sensation triggered his own release, and he buried himself deep, groaning her name as he found his completion. They collapsed together, sweaty and satisfied and utterly content. Dante rolled to the side, pulling her against his chest. So, about that proper first date. Isabella laughed breathlessly. I think we can safely say it was a success. Yeah, he kissed her temple. Successful enough that you'll stay the night. Try getting rid of me. Never again, he promised seriously. I'm never letting you go again, Isabella. You're mine now. Forever. Forever sounds perfect, she whispered. They lay together in the dark, the city lights twinkling through the windows, and for the first time in their lives, both felt completely at peace. This was what love was supposed to feel like. Not painful or destructive or controlling. Just right.